Good morning. Welcome to the CloudRadial January updates. I'm Jeff Farris, President and CEO of CloudRadial, along with Ricky Cecchini, who's our Director of Product Services. And today we're going to walk you through the product updates that we just recently rolled out. So some good stuff to talk about today. The big things to cap off the discussion is Bigger Brains. We've got now free courses bundled in. We've added banners. We've improved third-party chat support. And I think what most of you are here for today is Microsoft Teams integration preview. And there's lots more to be had. Too much to cover in this one broadcast. So I want to be sure everyone knows how to stay up to date with our announcements. You can always go to radials.io/updates. You can always check things out in the community. You can learn about new stuff in the academy, but more importantly, be sure and pay attention to the question mark that's up in the top right corner of CloudRadial. If you click on that, you're going to see an announcements module that only you'll see as partner administrators. And there we're trying to do a much better job of keeping you up to date on changes in the product. To start off these announcements, the first thing we want to talk about is Bigger Brains. We've been working with Bigger Brains now for quite a while and really trying to figure out how to deliver better training to clients. And one of the challenges has always been that training, if you're charging in excess of $100 or more per workstation or user, adding $3 or $4 or $10 more for training always seems kind of problematic and difficult to sell. So, but we also see training as a key way to differentiate your MSP and add value to that client, not only to access products, but understand how to use them better, like such as Office 365. And so we've teamed up with Bigger Brains to offer the Mastering Office series to you that you can offer to your clients at no charge. And that's live today, so you can, if you have the Bigger Brains courses loaded up, you can always get the latest from the community. But that now is available to all of your clients that you can offer at no additional charge. And content-wise, you can mix and match those free courses along with your premium courses, and it really doesn't matter. The free courses will show up for everyone, and the premium courses will show up for just the ones that you've authorized. So there's 20, I think there's 28 different courses in this list, all in the Mastering series. So again, some great content from Bigger Brains that you can now offer to all of your clients at no charge. It's just included with your CloudRadial subscription. In the premium side, we have worked out the kinks and now are doing a better job of keeping updated with the Bigger Brains additions and new courses. Bigger Brains is constantly innovating and producing some great quality content. And so now you'll see those new additions again out in the content section of the community. You can download those, bring those down in. And if you haven't seen the complete Bigger Brains catalog or haven't experimented with that, it's just an awesome package to add on to your clients. The pricing on it starts off at $50 per 200 users. So it's very affordable to offer the additional premium courses. And then the list of the premium add-ons I think is excellent. Lots of great stuff in Office 365, updated Teams courses. There's now 4 Spanish language courses in that mix as well. So a great offering from Bigger Brains that we can pass on very affordably to you, to pass on affordably or not affordably out to your clients. So some great content there from Bigger Brains. The other piece I want to focus on is banners. So we've added banners. This has been a top request for quite a while. And you'll see those banners. You'll see it there in that screenshot across there to announce the Office 365 training back to those users. Banners are very flexible. They're under partner marketing. There's a lot. You can assign them to the login screen, the home screen, your problem and service option screens. There's different colors of banners. You can place them on the top or the right side of the page. You can set start and stop dates. So again, if you want to start a banner and not have to worry about turning it back off, that's easy to do. And they're signable by user or company group. So tons of different options on the banner. It's a really easy way to alert people before they submit a problem ticket, or just alert them to new changes going on around them. And then we get to the stuff that I think is driving most people's attention today, and that's our Teams integration. We're really proud of this. We have been looking at Teams for quite a while, trying to figure out how best to integrate CloudRadial with Teams. And we've also, I guess, with this journey along with Microsoft, understanding Teams better. A year ago, Teams was not a high priority for most MSPs. And with COVID, certainly that changed the equations of everything and made Teams adoption a big driver for companies and for MSPs to help their clients understand Teams. One of the things that we rolled out last year was our desktop app, and the desktop app has opened up a lot of opportunity to get your messaging and get your portal out to clients. But there were some downsides to the desktop app. And the primary one is that it required a desktop, right? So it required a Windows desktop, even worse. So Mac users, iPad users, none of those people had ready access to your application. It was only for Windows. So that was a real downside. And as we've seen with COVID and mobility, people aren't always on the same desktop all day long. And in fact, they probably aren't on the same desktop that they were a year ago. So having a tray icon is great, but it has its downsides. The other piece is we wanted to offer in that desktop app, and we worked on a number of different ways to do this, is to offer up the ability for auto login. And auto login is easy to do if you are hooked into a local Active Directory, because there's data we can access as an application. If you're in Teams, or if you're in Azure Active Directory, that's a little more problematic, because again, we don't get it from the browser, we have to get it from the machine, which means that machine has to be managed by the company. It's just a royal pain to do that. So getting the auto login to work correctly for Windows users or for Office 365 Azure AD users was sometimes problematic on the desktop app as well. But yet we know that the automatic login was one of the single biggest drivers. That and the ability to offer up your icon and your brand to your clients. So what we've done with Teams is I think ultimately we could blow away the desktop application with our new Teams application. So it's going to be your icon, your brand in your client's Teams portal, right? And it's going to run anywhere that Teams runs. So once you install it in Teams, you'll see it on the iPhone, on the iPad, on Macs. It's not dependent because it's basically using browser technology. It's going to be accessible anywhere a browser is accessible. And best of all, it's going to be automatic login based on their Teams login. So no hassles with getting people signed in, no figuring out if they're ready to go. Only thing you'll need to do is just make sure that they're connected in CloudRadial to the right company, and the Teams login will take them right in. We've done some things to stylize it with Teams, so it matches. You can set it up to stylize with the light and dark themes. You can add customizable tabs to it, and Ricky here is going to show you all this and more. But the last thing before I turn it over to Ricky, the last thing I really want to emphasize is our Teams integration's not done. It's marked as preview. I would wait a couple of weeks before rolling it out to clients to give you more of a chance to experiment with it and learn how to work Teams applications. But it's just an awesome integration, seems to work. This is one of the best first releases we've done on an integration, so real happy with it. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ricky, who will walk you through the details.
For sure. Thank you, Jeff. Let's get that screen going here. One moment. Cool. Let me make sure you can see. You should be seeing the integrating article. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So yes, I am Ricky, the Director of Product Service, and we're going to be going over a little bit more of the tangible what this actually looks like. So I like to start off, we'll almost do it backwards because I want to show a little bit of the bigger brain stuff, a little bit of the banner stuff, and I thought it'd be interesting to do that all within the Teams app, because why not? We can do it. The first thing I want to bring up is this support article. This is on our support.cloudradial.com KB, integrating with Microsoft Teams. This is a good one to read, again, before we start over it, because there's, I won't say catches, but maybe some gotchas you want to figure out first. And like Jeff was saying, it is in preview. You want to make sure you read through this. Some of the things you want to do is, as we build this out, as I'll show you in a moment, you basically will create a zip of the application itself, and you want to kind of format it the way you like and play with it before you do a big deployment of it, because as you'll see in a second, you want to try to finalize a nice version of it. So just a shout out to this article, just to make sure that you'll be able to see it, and I'll show you where this is. So let's take a look, right? So I have my Teams open right here. Hopefully you can still see that. And then what we're seeing, right, is that when I would go over to the right, I already have my portal. And in the portal itself, this would be CloudRadial running within here. And this one that I have open right now is I think this is my Azure one. So it is our local portal that we have internal. And as you can see, I'm auto logged in. I didn't have to do anything special, because like Jeff said, what's happening is my account, Ricky at CloudRadial, is an Office one. I'm logged in, I'm verified in both sources, so I'm here. And unlike the cloud-based application where you can log out and switch between stuff, this one doesn't have that, right? It's all auto login, it's all mega easy to get in and out of. So there's not even like an accidental shuffle that could happen. They're just in there. So another really, really good thing about this too is that if you have the flexibility of providing the clients Teams, and you want to have them get auto logged in for usage, right? We always talk about usage of the portal. It's always a big issue, problem, concern of a lot of people, because I think the drive to give them a portal, the drive to give them something to use is always hindered by the fact, again, where do they log in, what do they use? Having this means that they just have that there. That's just one less, excuse, because they're just in there. And then having this feel more like a Microsoft app helps to increase adoption in both things. Because like Jeff was saying, now with COVID, with people working from home, we want them to get more familiar with Teams. Certainly, again, a lot of our partners are aligned with the Microsoft stack, especially with the Office, and this just helps to add to that. So yes, I'm in here, and like you can see, I can work this exactly the same way I would work the regular CloudRadial portal. Everything is as intended. Where you would go to set up Teams is going to be under Partner, and we're going to go down to Settings. And where you'll find it right now is under the Configuration column on the right-hand side. You'll see this preview for the Teams app. And clicking in here, this is how you're going to provision that first kind of package for your Teams application. Now, when you get in here the first time, you're not going to have this button. Those that have tried out the desktop application will kind of recognize this. This is a very similar, like even visual layout of how we do it. The first thing you're going to need to do is hit the settings gear at the top, and you'll see this is what Jeff was saying as far as customization and really making it feel like your own. This is where you'd go to it. So I can call the tab whatever I want, right? Obviously, I have a portal, which is what's corresponding over here. The app name itself, as you'll see where this comes in, is where I will be able to push that out for download within Teams's additional applications. Again, we'll take a look at that in a moment. So you can define the name there. Additional descriptions, of course. You can have your developer, and then very importantly is the branding. So we have a couple of different branding options. One of them is the full color option, and another one's the transparent outline, because as you hover over things in Teams, you can have them have different colors and also different accent colors. So when I create this, what happens is as soon as I hit submit, this application will now be ready to download. This will quickly provision that zip file for you, and you'll have your Teams application. It's recommended that when you're first trying it out, again, this is all covered in that article, before you just go deploying it out to everyone, the first thing to do is to click on the 3 dots here and get into the App Studio. And then as we test this out, as you kind of give it a shot, there's going to be the manifest editor within App Studio. You can go ahead and import that zip, and you can play with it, and you'll have like a little localized version like this. Now, this is not feasible, right, for mass deployment. There's instructions on that, but just to say that's how you test it out. And then, yeah, same thing as I have, right? As long as you have a corresponding Office 365 ID, you'll be logged right in, and you can give it a shot and see what that looks like. As far as the branding settings at a more high level, right? So that was a quick snapshot of what it would look like in here. What Jeff was saying in regards to having a more dynamic branding option. Under partner settings, as we know, CloudRadial is built to be a white labeled portal. So there's lots of options to make it look good, right? With your logo, with your colors and all that kind of stuff. If we go up to the partner settings, we're going to go to account branding at the top, where you define the branding for the portal itself is under this branding tab. And we've added those two new options to not just have the theme be the partner or specific ones. We have these additional light and dark theme. And what we were talking about before is you may want to have a specific override when you run inside of Teams. And this is to help not break the immersion with Teams, right? Some people have dark themes and light themes and stuff. So defining additional logos and themes within here helps to make it a really seamless transition. So when they're using it online, if they're using it in the desktop app, or if they're using it in Teams, it should really help that to look very good. So this is brand new. This wasn't here up until the release of Teams. I think, again, we can talk more about this, and I'm sure I'll touch on some more stuff as we go through it, but I thought it'd be neat, again, to show you some of the other things we were talking about within the context of Teams. So let's talk about Bigger Brains, right? So Bigger Brains, we have those courses added in here. A lot of the stuff we talked about, of course, because this is just pretty seamless, working exactly as it should be, works directly in here, Bigger Brains not excluded. So what Jeff was saying before is that with our new Bigger Brains package, and actually I'll dip out here to bring up this support article, we have kind of some things to consider. For new partners, there's really nothing to think about, because when you get a brand new tenant of CloudRadial, you're going to have all of the new courses. There's specific flags on the back end for the free ones, so we know which ones are free, and we'll look at how to kind of provision those out, make sure that free customers get all the free courses, and then the premium customers get the free ones and the premium ones. But for existing partners, there's a little bit of a catch here that we have to be careful with, and what that is we have these course histories for all the people that have taken the courses before. And again, this is only relevant for partners that already have Bigger Brains courses kind of out there. So instead of just pushing out a new thing and overwriting course history, which we're very, very mindful of, what we have is two different packages within this article you can download. There is the full one right here. So this is the latest one. Again, it contains all of the Bigger Brains courses updated in one package that you can import into your content library. And then for partners that already have the existing Bigger Brains ones looking to get the additional ones, there is a zip of the additional courses. Now, these are not just free. The free ones, there's some in the old package, some in the new one. Again, we'll look at how to do that, but this is just saying how you get all of the courses in here. So again, this is a very, very important article to read within the KB of just getting the courses in there.
Hey, now, Ricky, while you're inside the Bigger Brains piece, Andrew Birch has a question. He wants to know how to separate the paid from the free for Bigger Brains. So if he has paid enabled for some clients, how does he enable the free subset? Is that in that article?
Yes, there's a recommendation of how to do that. And I think it's best to even just show that. Again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's a good question. I want to cover it, certainly. So we have these courses, right? Again, this is how you can get them. Again, most partners will already have these in there in the first place. When we go into CloudRadial, again, this is a little bit more technical. You're going to see that under the partner content library, so where we have all the stuff, you're going to have the Bigger Brains courses in here. And this is what I was talking about before. Many partners will have an original one. This one is not indicative of actually what it'll look like for you guys, but just to show you that it'll look something like this. And if you import the additional courses, it'll be a separate package. We've added a new function to CloudRadial that previously you were able to import things into CloudRadial just by hitting the import button. And this is what we talk about whenever we say add content to CloudRadial, right? You get a zip file containing courses or articles or KBs or whatever, and you can put it in here and it makes a new folder. One of the things that the development team focused on to try to make it a little bit easier to clean this up is you can go within a specific folder now. So this is recommended for people with the existing Bigger Brains package. And instead of having to add the separate courses as a separate folder, you can actually click on the merge option. And what this is going to do is if you've got content that is of the same type, so again, you got a folder of courses, you want to put it in another folder, you can hit the merge thing and basically import into that. And that is the recommended way to put everything into one big folder. So in Andrew's case, I would assume it's kind of like this, right? You might have to put everything in one big one. And then of course, you want to be able to separate out the premium ones, so they go to the premium, and then the free ones, so they go to the free. There was a lot of, I won't say confusion, but a lot of technical details that we used to recommend, right? There was some things with company groups. I think ultimately we've simplified a lot of it. The recommended path now is to have that Bigger Brains catalog all in one. So actually not even like this, just merged into one big package. And then the recommended path is to push out these Bigger Brains courses to everyone, just like this, right? You're going to have a company group for all, which everyone should be a part of by default, and push it out. And what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that everyone that can get those Bigger Brains courses is going to. Now, in this case, right, so in this specific company I'm in, this is not a company that is eligible to receive the paid Bigger Brains courses because we don't have them paying for those. So what happens tangibly is if you were to do this strategy, people that are not paying for Bigger Brains do in fact get the free ones to filter through automatically. There's nothing to do. So you see that right here, these are the free ones just coming through. And just as an aside, right, they work just like normals. When I click on any given course, they're going to pop up. I can enroll with them, and then the Bigger Brains module loads right up, and we can do our stuff in here. Now, the people that are getting the premium courses, again, shouldn't be too crazy. Everyone is getting distributed out the Bigger Brains courses in totality. As you can see, though, there's way more than this in the premium one, so we're not getting those. So if you publish out those courses to everyone, the free ones filter through, and that turns your management of the paid ones in just from back here. So in your client list, there's a little section right here for Bigger Brains. This is the premium option specifically. So when I toggle a client and when I modify them, if I have the courses, if I've paid for the seats already, all I have to do is flip on the flag, enable premium Bigger Brains courses. So I can do that from here, or I can do that just by doing the edit all and flipping it on here. So I know, again, forgive me for people that are just like, what's happening? But it's a little bit of a thing we have to consider, because again, a lot of this was derived from the fact that we couldn't wipe the course history for existing people. But the core purpose here is push out that Bigger Brains thing to everyone, just let the free courses flow through, and then flip this on to yes. And that'll make sure that the right companies with the right users can see the premium ones. Now,
one thing just before you get off of this topic, everybody that had the Bigger Brains courses, those mastering series were already toggled on as free. So there's nothing you have to do. If you previously pushed out or have that Bigger Brains content in there, all of those mastering Office 365 courses have already been toggled free. And if they've been assigned to companies that didn't have Bigger Brains, then those content courses are now showing up in those client portals automatically. I mean, there's nothing you really have to do other than assign the Bigger Brains course catalog to a client.
That's it, right? And people have asked this too, because like some people, when you first start off by provisioning a client in CloudRadial, we treat this area very much like a checklist, right? This is where you put in the PSA IDs, and there's a lot of explanation here. And people have been somewhat fearful of this because they fear that if you flip this on when you're first setting it up, we're going to charge you and something like that. And that's not the case, right? We still have a system where you have to purchase the seats first. So even if you accidentally do this, again, the check mark or the little blue question mark is going to take you to that article we mentioned before. Really important to read this because it's going to lay out the rules, but no, you won't get charged if you accidentally flag it. So there's kind of some safeguards in the way to make sure that you really have to know what you're doing to append that premium charge on there. So just publish that out, and I think it'll be all right. And a lot of people wonder also which ones are free and how they can quickly see that. And we have a web page on our website, right? CloudRadial.com/biggerbrains that lists all the available courses and lists the specific free ones. But yeah, generally speaking, the rule of thumb here is if it's an Office 365 one and it's a mastering one, those have been all flagged as free for your clients. So that's a good set, right? And I want to not just talk about
Ricky, I want to kind of review this a little bit here. There's still a little bit of confusion. So for everybody that has, so all of our subscribers now are going to receive in their portals the free coursework. How do you get the free courses into the portals? Are they already there, or do you have to publish them in?
So people, again, this is the issue, is that before we had some people with Bigger Brains, some people removed it, but if you have Bigger Brains in there, right, you're going to check your content to see if you have it in there. These contain both the free ones and the premium ones. So it's just a matter of pushing these out to everyone. That's it. Now, when you do this, this is what we're saying. The free ones will just show up, and the paid ones will not show up until you toggle on the paid option for people.
Okay, but when you say show up, that means they're going to show up in the partner content area, not inside the portals yet, until they push them.
Yes, they should already have these in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And if not, that's where that article comes in. If you don't see a Bigger Brains course package in there and you're wondering where you can even get them, this article that I mentioned before, the Bigger Brains one, you'd want to grab this complete one, and then you will have them as well. You should already have them in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about I don't want to stick too much to the technicalities. I want to talk also about the strategy of it. So like Jeff was saying, it's not so much about the just being able to have the courses, but also using this as an enticement to having more learning material, making training more accessible to a lot of people. This is a good thing to start off from kind of like even like a pre-sales aspect. So we're trying to think about this more strategically and how you guys can use CloudRadial to maybe land more clients or you know, onboard a little bit better. And a lot of these courses are very conducive to that. So for example, if we're doing this whole team strategy, right, introducing the Microsoft Teams course, introducing the Office 365, hopefully this is going to give you some good material to go alongside with that in the first place. Another thing we added, right, so let's swap topic here for a sec, is the banners. And the banners, I think, are a pretty useful feature because a lot of people kind of inherently wanted something that they could put up, right? People need to get trained to use the portal to check on updates and innovations and just a way that they can communicate a little bit better. And those have been made very, very easy. So the banners are going to be found under Partner, and we're going to go to the Marketing tab down here. And they're actually the first one up here now. So banners are easily added by clicking the Add button, and we can call them whatever we want. So let's make a quick one, Hello World. And we can put the text in here. We can do a URL if we want to link off to something, and this will give us an option. So let's go ahead and do a Google one. Why not? And you can see that you can choose between a couple different places. You can actually post it in multiple places. Now, this one specifically is not relevant to Teams because there is no login page with Teams. But when partners first log into the portal, you know, they're going to get, I'm sorry, not partners, clients, they're going to get that splash screen that's going to give them different ways to log in. And this is a really good option, especially if you've got an outage or if you've got specific things that you want to let them know even before they get in. But otherwise, the most common areas where people want these banners are on the home page or before they go put in a ticket. So that's why these specific options. Let's just do it on the home page. Different color options are nice because that means you can give them kind of different training here. So let's just do this one as red. And then you can choose a different positioning too. And like Jeff was saying, you can have these to be on specific run dates or stop dates. So very popular, very easy with like, you know, office hours during holidays or availability and stuff like that too. And the targeting is the same thing as we do in everything else, which is using those user groups and company groups. So of course, if I want it to be admins in my G Suite, or in this case, I want to do everyone in every company, we can just do that. And as I hit submit, what you're going to see is it's going to create that, and that's cool. If I click on it, it's going to give me a little preview of what that looks like, but now that should be working natively. Interesting to note, I just want to bring this up because this has happened before. Targeting, right? So user groups and your company groups only applies once they're actually in the portal. Some people reported that they were like, hey, you know, people are getting the message even if they're not part of those groups. And the login page, we don't know who those are. So again, if you're doing a message for the login page specifically, because that's before they log in, we're going to show that to everybody. So just be careful with what you put in there. If it's for specific companies, that's not really going to work, right? We're going to be showing that for every single person beforehand. So this looks good. I think that's cool. And what you'll see, again, this one on the home page now should be showing up like this, right? Obviously, you can make it more intricate. And then in the Teams app, if I click on the more info, it'll take me to wherever I want, in this case, my Google. So again, very simple, but very powerful feature because now you have a way to contact them and let them know of additional stuff. And you can have additional notifications. These will stack and they'll be longer and longer. Obviously, don't make it too Christmas tree-like, just make a bunch of ornaments, but for the most part, get your message out there effectively. The last bit to cover, I think, is the chat integration, because a lot of people have been asking about chat, and we've had a bit of a journey here. Jeff and his team have been working with a lot of different chat vendors. We've been thinking about this because the primary concern was not so much can we get chat to work in here. We've had that for a while, but a lot of people want it to be easier for the clients to put in their names and emails and stuff and identify who they are a little bit faster, because they don't want them to be logged in and then have to re-verify and all that kind of stuff. So in this demo account that we're looking at, I actually have a Zendesk Chat open, and you can see that it actually does pre-fill with my name and email, which makes it a lot easier. This is really what we're talking about with the improved chat integration. So for a lot of the chat integrations that we currently have, you're going to set that up under your partner and settings area. And we're going to go ahead and head over to integrations, again, under configuration on the right. And chat is specifically handled from the header scripts, because this is where you would inject your chat. So we have certain ones available right now as far as integrations, but theoretically, we can kind of work with anything, right? Because this is just a matter of how we can inject the specific code from that chat in here. So as you can see, this one specifically is a Zendesk one, and all we're doing is in different ways for different chats, we are injecting in that username and email that we're pulling from CloudRadial into that chat widget, which is how a lot of this works. So again, hopefully helps out clients use that a little bit easier because there's less friction. And this supports a lot of different types of chats that we want to. And by no means are we done with chat, right? As we talk about more and different ones that we want to do, we work with more vendors. I know 3CX, for example, is a very common one that people are working with. We're reaching out to people and working with different vendors and stuff to help us get more and more chat integration. So that list, I'm sure, will grow dramatically, surely, even in the next couple of months.
Yeah, one of the things I want to touch, just one quick thing here on the chat piece. We've gotten a lot of requests for integrated chat or chat that's built into the product. And the challenge has always been, what do you provide the agents? The user chat experience, that's really not that challenging. But as we've worked with now hundreds and hundreds of partners, we haven't found a consensus as to what people like on chat. And so basically what we've done is basically punted and let you use whatever chat that your team likes. You know, Tawk is real popular, Zendesk is real popular. All of these have different ways to integrate back into your ticketing system, either through Zapier or some other choices. And so again, and like with Synchro has built-in chat, so you may be wanting to use that. So what we're trying to do is just make it really simple for you to have whatever chat you want. Now, it does depend on the API capabilities of that chat. So I think that we support 6 or 7 with examples out in the documentation library. And again, as we find more, we'll put them up there because again, it gives you a lot of different options to go with. Some of these are free. For example, Tawk you can get started with at no charge. A couple of these others I think are lightweight. Even Zendesk Chat has a basic option that starts off either free or at low cost. So there's a lot of good ways to get started with chat, and we're going to give you the options to choose the one that's right for your team.
I think the only other thing I forgot to mention that may be helpful, I'll just close on that, a little bit of additional information for the Teams integration actually, is when we went back over to the Teams app, I mentioned that we could provision that zip file and it would build it, and as you saw, you know, with your branding and all that. Another function of the Teams thing, which can be extremely helpful, is actually similar to the desktop application that we have the option of also adding different tabs. So when you look, aside from again hitting the settings button and customizing the branding, the add tab button to the right of that will actually give you a way to add additional tabs at the top of here, just so you can see portal and about 2 different areas. So a lot of people like this for, you know, maybe using it to link off to a quick report a problem or maybe to a dashboard or something like that. You can see that we've tried to make that experience a little bit easier too. Previously, you have to kind of know the code of CloudRadial, right? So, you know, for example, the home page is this app service home, and you would have to know that. But I think we've tried to streamline that easier. So if you wanted to have an additional thing to the dashboard, you can do that and call it dashboards and so on. And this is part of the thing that it'll mention in the Teams application. Building this, playing with this, getting your perfect provision of, you know, what does your portal branding look like? What tabs do you want to have available really quickly is good. And you can also do external ones. Now, for the external ones, there's some things to keep in mind. They do have to be HTTPS, and they do have to support an iframe rendering. But other than that, you can have a lot of power in what you show up in here in the first place, especially if you have any custom things on your end. I know a lot of people have like stores and stuff that they want to be able to put, again, within the context of their portal. So definitely play around with that. And then once you're happy with it, download that application, get that zip, and give it a shot and let us know what you think.
Okay, so Ricky, Safi, if I can get the screen back, I want to go through the provisioning of a Teams app, because I think that's something that's a little different. And let's see.
I also have a couple of questions, you know, directly relating to the Teams app that I could run through while you're getting set up.
Sure, go ahead.
One of them was, you know, of course, you know, the Teams integration. This is Kerry Wagner. You know, Teams integration's great idea, but what about GSpace workers? You know, any options for them? You know.
So the answer is no. So
that's what
no, we're looking at how to support G Suite better. and it's on the things that are now have bubbled from curiosities to things that we'd like to more further work with. Again, for the G Suite worker, again, we're web-based, so I mean, again, if they're on Chrome, you can pin this. We are a progressive web app, so you can install it as an app from Chrome. So G Suite, if they're on G Suite and living there, it's pretty easy to work with that and pin that as an application and work with it that way.
The other thing, Danny Thompson asked, will it also append the computer information like the desktop app would?
No. So inside of Teams, we are sandboxed inside of an iframe. So we don't have, it's just the same problem we have with the browser, is that we don't see which workstation they're on. So we don't have access to that information, so we can't pass that along with the ticket. For that, you'd still need the desktop app to do that. And because that has a tight integration with the desktop hardware.
And I think it's important also to understand that this is the first release, and you know, and it is going to be a work in progress, and a lot of additions will be made. I'm seeing a lot of fabulous ideas here, and you need to make sure that we need to make sure that they get documented. And I'd like to ask that you go to your portals and put them in your area, which is in partner account. And if you look over on the right-hand side, there's a place for you to click and to put these ideas in. But it really helps us if you document them. And as you know, we listen, and most of the product, you know, has had, you know, most of your feedback in it. So we do want those, you know, those ideas. Jeff, another thing that came up is, you know, and I don't think that this is there yet, but how do notifications and broadcast work with the Teams app?
They don't. So,
okay.
So in the first version, they don't work. And so we're looking at how to do that. In Teams, when you switch off the tab, it's not clear that frame continues to run. And so we're looking at how to do the notification stuff. Again, there's a whole different structure that we'll probably bring to the table for web-based, browser-based notifications. Again, the best approach to that, for better or for worse right now, is still the desktop app. Browser notifications have their own baggage with them, but I think our ability to support browser notifications is sooner rather than later this year.
And this was kind of interesting. Arthur Dodd brought this up, is will there be a Teams chat integration options down the road?
So possibly. So one of the things we'll work, again, the next in Teams, there's the possibility of a bot. So you can do that. There are some chat applications now that support Teams and give you some Teams experience. I think from our perspective, we're still trying to figure out how Teams would work with chat and how that would be effective. So the next iteration I know for us is the bot, and trying to make some of this content a little more accessible via a bot interface. And then once we understand that better and see a little bit better about how our partners are using Teams and figuring out how to do the chat interface with Teams. Again, there's a lot of these things they're easy to like write down as an idea, and then sometimes they're hard to like design and figure out exactly how they're going to flow information-wise.
And so looking at these other outside chat applications and integrations, are there ways to push those chat features into a Teams channel?
No,
Okay.
They're in the Teams chat, that is strictly running as a chat inside that iframe that we're running. So while you're in the portal, like what you're seeing here on the screen is basically running inside of an iframe inside of Teams. So it's essentially a web browser inside of that Teams interface. Now we're smarter, so we know that we're inside of Teams and we know who the users are, and there's some data we can get from that, but essentially we're a web app at this point in time.
And then, you know, going back into the Teams, the privacy settings, you know, do all Teams users see the tabs if they don't have access to that in Teams, such as invoices and quotes, for example?
It's going to be It's going to be exactly whatever rights they have in CloudRadial, because again, this is essentially the web app inside of Teams. So whatever they're seeing inside of CloudRadial on the web is what they would see as CloudRadial inside of Teams.
And then how, and I don't think that this functionality is quite here yet, but in Teams, will the client see the notification like they do now in the desktop app?
No.
Okay.
No, the desktop app, again, is very tightly integrated with the hardware, and it runs all the time, and we know it runs all the time. So again, if you absolutely depend on broadcast, then for now, that's the only thing that we have available. But I'm not sure it's going to be the only thing we have available at the end of this year.
Okay. I think I've gotten most of these. As you talk through them, I'll just interrupt as I normally do, and have you answer some more for me.
All right, thanks, Saf. All right, so I want to get back into provisioning. So inside, and Ricky showed you the manifest editor, and that's kind of the heavy duty way to do it. Now, one of the things that the only reason to use the manifest editor is because Teams does a terrible job of caching. And so once you load something as an app inside of Teams, it's going to tend to stick there for as long as possible. So the manifest editor is a way to play with things without that making a caching problem down the road. Now, when you get ready, once you've used the manifest editor, got the app, you played with it, you think you've got it all the way you want to do it. Couple of ways to deploy it. One is, the first way is you might want to deploy it just for your MSP, just for your team first, so everybody can see it from that perspective. So what you're going to do is go down to the apps tab here on the left-hand side, click on that, and up here at the bottom left is upload a custom app. And you're going to click on that link, and that's going to give you a couple options here. Upload for me or upload for Azure, which is really your company ID. Once you install it, it should show up here for people to access, and it's going to be live. So again, when people click on the apps tab, it's going to appear here in the apps list along with anything else that's available for them to install. That accent color is what's used here to accent the icon. By default, and when you do the team settings, for better or for worse, we start with the default CloudRadial icons, but those are easy to change and tweak the way you want. So again, this icon should be, once you get it all set up, should be your icon. So you have the option here again to upload this. It's going to appear here as an application for your team. And if you do the same method, if you were to log in manually on a client's team side or have them do it, this would be the same process for them. But that's not really very ideal. So what you can also do is show, you can go to the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, and this is explained in that Teams documentation. But in the Teams document, or in this Teams Admin Center, there's a link here on the left-hand side for Teams Apps. And underneath that is Manage Apps. And this is what you're going to be using to deploy this out to your clients. So if you go into your Partner Center, go to the Teams Admin Center, or now that's also accessible from CloudRadial's Office 365 tab there under Partner. You can get to the Teams Admin Center for a client that way. But if you'll go to Manage Apps, then you'll see the apps that are available to all of your clients, or basically what your clients can see in their portal. What you'll do up here is click the upload option, and then you'll select that zip file that was downloaded before, and then that will become an app that's available here. And so the easiest way to see it, if I just sort this string here, you're going to see the app name. The publisher will be the publisher that you've defined in the app. So essentially, you're going to be the publisher for the application. This will be your icon, and you'll see the status is allowed. If for some reason an end user uploads that app and they don't have global admin permission, then you're going to see this app flagged, and you'll see it up here as submitted custom apps, but it's not approved. So you'll just need to open up the app. I can do this. Oh, here it is. And you'll be able to approve it inside the, it'll come up with the allowed. There we go. It'll have the allowed option here. You'll click it, and they'll be able to, you'll be able to allow it for the client, and then it's going to show up in their Teams list for their application. So deployment, again, you can right now you can do it one-off. There's also a PowerShell beta version where you can deploy Teams apps through PowerShell. And we're working on a script right now, a PowerShell script that would iterate through your partner list and deploy this application through all of your clients. So so deployment, we're going to try to make this easier. But again, what you need to focus on in this first 2 weeks, because again, this is preview / beta, is I would look at this as a way to experiment, to play with it, and then wait a week or so before you deploy it out to clients. I think everybody will be a little happier with that. But the main thing, again, and this gets into be a problem, and we've done a lot of research, and we don't have an exact answer on this, but the caching in Teams is problematic. So once you push the app out to your clients, it's going to stick there for a while. And if you want to change your mind later on, or change a word, or change a tab, it may take a few days for that new change to show up. So if it's not like some other systems where you can publish the app, republish, and everything works just fine. Once the users open up that Teams app, it tends to stick around for a little bit. And you'll see this especially on phone apps or iPad. If you try to run it from there, it will stick around on the phone a couple extra days. So if you're seeing the old Teams app in your Teams portal on the phone or any source, it's either a waiting game or there is some hacks you can do. And I think we talk about that in that Teams document that you could do to get it cleaned up on the PC side, but on the other platforms, you just have to wait for Teams to forget about it. So but the distribution is pretty straightforward. Ricky, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to say, in that article, we actually had a partner of ours, actually, I'm going to name drop, Mungo Bright, thank you very much. He gave us a really good PowerShell script. So we have instructions on how to manually clear it, but we also have the PowerShell script within that article that will clear that Teams app. So that way, the cache. So that way,
that's great. That's great. Now, one of the things I want to show too before we get over, because this is really kind of a cool feature. If I go back into the portal and I go back under partner, let's go under settings. Let's go back under the Teams app. There's another link down here in the bottom right corner that's open in Teams app. And what this is basically a URL that you can send to a client via email to get directly to a tab. So if you were to run that, basically what it's going to do, they could be anywhere in Teams. Teams can be minimized, but when they click that link, it's going to open up their browser window, ask for a redirect, and redirect them back to the Teams app here. So once you deploy it out, once it's installed in the client's portals, typically it's not going to be pinned here. Again, you can always click an app and pin it, but if it's unpinned, then it's going to just appear in this list. If you'll send them that link, it's going to make that app come up front and center, so they'll be able to see the app. And then if you want, they can, you give them directions on how to pin it to make it one of their common accessed applications. So again, there's a lot of stuff that we're learning about Teams. It's pretty clear in looking at the Teams documentation. There's a lot of things that Microsoft is learning about Teams. A lot of things that we're doing today wasn't necessarily as fleshed out as it was a year ago or 6 months ago. You know, Teams is, if you're watching the cycle on Teams, it's under almost a weekly innovation cycle, if not monthly. Very, very fast development, new features rolling out in Teams all the time. And what you're seeing from a UI perspective, whether it's the backgrounds or the theater views and all of that, you're also seeing on the back end from a development perspective as well. So we're gonna take advantage of as many of those things as often as fast as we can, because we see this as an easy way to get your portal and your brand in front of clients on a daily basis and make this side by side. I mean, the whole thing about CloudRadial is making sure that not only the client perceive you as the expert in technology, but also the client sees you as their partner in technology. and having your tab in their Teams piece, just like it does having the app in the tray icon or being readily accessible via a web app, is part of the keys to bringing about that transparency and ease of accessibility. So, Safi, do we have any more questions?
We've got a couple of things. Hang on, I'm not as organized over here. Brian Weiss brought up something that said that there's a script that they know about that we can actually run to clear the cache in Teams. And so he wanted to know if you are aware of that.
No,
Yes.
but, oh, go ahead.
I think that one is the one that I put in the article. So if you go to that Teams article, I think I attached that one in there to clear the cache.
I mean, we've kind of gone through a lot of these. If we go back into the chat, there's a lot of talk about, you know, how do we do outbound tech initiated chats. Chris Porofsky brought this up. You know, and if you have any ideas on that.
Right now, we don't. And so, again, there are some things we're looking at for later on this year. Again, the Teams app, we're limited by what Teams will allow us to do in the concept of this application. The first thing is to make that portal accessible. And then as we work through some issues this year, maybe to give you more options to reach out to those clients via chat. A lot of these third-party chats give you some options to poke at users as well. So there may be some things built into that. So chat, outbound, broadcast, you know, those are still things that are, I think, still to be resolved. And so the first pass is getting your brand, again, your portal accessible to clients. And then as we migrate from there, this gives us a good platform to build additional technologies on.
Jeff, I want you to come back and address a couple of things because we've had some comments on this. I want you to reiterate this, that we don't plan on getting rid of the desktop app. You know, it is still an integral part of CloudRadial, you know, as we kind of move towards Teams, but will you address that?
Well, I mean, you said it best. We're not getting rid of the desktop app. So, and we've got some things planned for the desktop app going forward. It's going to continue to receive enhancements. There's a whole new initiative with Windows. We wrote the desktop app to support, you know, Windows 7 clients, which are no longer really an issue. Most everything now is coalesced around Windows 10. Having Windows 10 as a default platform will allow us to explore some additional UI capabilities with the desktop app. There's some new initiatives with Microsoft, so you'll see a lot of good things with the desktop app. I mean, it's works really well right now, and we'll continue to put resources into it. Again, what we're trying to make sure is we kind of see this as CloudRadial everywhere. And so again, wherever your clients are, we'd like to make this accessible. You know, the portal's already responsive, so it works on mobile devices. The portal, again, it's web-based, now it's Teams-based, it's desktop-based, and we're going to use a lot of this technology back and forth. And just like Microsoft's using, if you look at the Teams app, I mean, again, now they've got Teams on Mac, on Linux, on all these different devices. We see that as we're using a lot of those same architectures to build our deployment. So again, if you're running Teams today and you can run, you install the portal app, it'll run fine on a Mac. It should run fine on Linux on Teams. Again, there's not really a limitation. And again, we want to open up more platforms, not less.
You know, and as most of you know, I'm kind of the bossy pants here, but you've got, if you have ideas, you have recommendations, I ask that you please put them inside your portal through portal account on the right-hand side. I think it's request features. This puts it in the queue so that we can actually see it and organize it as to how we, you know, make additions to the product. We do need that feedback. Some of you have asked, you know, some specific kind of support type things here. And I'd like for you to, if I didn't get to you, I'd like for you to just send them into support. I'll make sure they get routed to Ricky. And let him address those, and it's real easy. It's support@cloudradial.com. But as we end today, I'd like to end with something that Joe, and I know I'm going to say your name wrong, Savabada mentioned or said. He said, not a question, but a remark. Could not be happier we came across you when we did. I love the forward thinking, constantly improving and adding new features. Teams is huge for us and our clients. The timing of this could not be better. Looking forward to seeing how this develops even further. This type of feedback keeps us going. And Jeff will, attest to this. This is what we live for, and it really keeps us all motivated here. And I just want to thank everybody for that input, and especially Joe, my new favorite client.
So, yeah, we appreciate that, Joe. And I think the thing, again, can't emphasize this enough. Get those suggestions into our feedback or our feature request area. One of the things that's really powerful in there is the ability to comment on other people's suggestions and to vote those up. And it's really interesting to the dev team to be able to see how those comments come in, other ideas. And so again, an idea that someone will have, it becomes more expanded and more expansive with additional comments. And again, that helps us prioritize development. We've had a remarkable 2020. Not only from feature development wise, but customer success. 2021 promises to be even better. There's so many things we've got in the works right now that I look forward to sharing with you in future updates. And Ricky and his team are taking a more expansive view of partner success. And so really he'll be focused over the next 12 months on making sure that not only does CloudRadial does it receive quality support, but also that you understand how to use every single piece of it to help you land clients, onboard clients, manage clients, and grow clients. Because again, what we're seeing with CloudRadial is it's a transformative product, starting from the very first sales call you have with a client, all the way to the point where they're ordering more or referring you to friends and other businesses. So thanks so much for attending today's webinar. It's been a great 2020. It's going to be a phenomenal 2021. And we thank all of you for your support, encouragement, and feedback. So appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, guys.